Hey guys, welcome to Affinity Photo tutorial. This is for Affinity Photo version 2 on iPad. So you want to open your Affinity Photo and let's go to new document. We're going to hit new document and you can pick any size. I have YouTube selected. That's something I've created myself, so don't look for that. Basically, to create your own, you go in the dimensions. And this one is 1280, and it's pixels, so you select 1280 pixels, and then the second one is 720 pixels, and DPI is 300. And so you type in these measurements because they are the measurements that I've looked up for YouTube. And then on the bottom left there's a little plus sign, so you just preset these and then you can use them anytime. That's what I've done. I'm going to use the YouTube, but you are free to use A6, B3, B4, anything you want. It doesn't really matter. On the right hand side, there are margins. We can turn them on. That's good for printing. But since, we're not printing this, there is no need to use margins. And I'm going to hit OK. And so that's going to create a document. And I'm going to just pinch it with 2 fingers in and out. And I'm going to move it around with 1 finger so I have total control of this document. Okay, and now we need an image so we can work with in this tutorial. So I'm going to say girl in a dress. Girl in, let's just say dress. Just save time and just hit enter. Oops. And things should come up. And so I would say I like this one. I don't know if you guys can see. Doesn't matter which one you pick. You can pick any other image. We want a little bit of face, a little bit of body. Okay, so I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna drag it into my document, and then I'm gonna pinch the document once again with 2 fingers. I'm gonna go on the left hand side and hit the move. So then I can see the dots, and I'm going to resize it with my hand to fit the document, and I'm going to make the document big again. So this is it. I'm going to hit on the stock icon on the right hand side again to make it all disappear. Okay, so this is the image I'm going to work with. If you go under layers on the right hand side, it's going to show you that now you have 1 image. Now I'm going to select that image and I'm going to hold the screen with 1 finger. You can either hold the screen with 1 finger or you can use 3 fingers to go from top to bottom, slide them on the screen to get this menu. And so there are various things at the bottom. There are 9 things at the bottom, and so the 3rd one to the right, it's at the top, rasterize. I choose that. It basically, everything has to do here with pixelated images, and some of the options only work on pixels, so might as well rasterize this image right away. And so now if you go back into your layer, boop, you can see that it changed to a pixel layer. So we have that done. That's great. And yeah, so the hand at the top, you can move things around. You can make them small and big, zoom in and out. The next one down is move. This is where you can just move individual things on your paper. There are various options at the top. Let's see, you can transform things. Let's see, you can flip it. I will reflip it. Do you see? You can do it vertically, and yeah, you can also touch the little dot at the top of your screen because that will also move your image. Okay, well, it's not perfectly aligned, but it's fine. So you can play with those options later. Next, we have a color picker. So color picker, basically, you can change the color of anything and you can pick various colors. So whatever I touch on the right hand side, the color will change to whatever the color picker is picking. Now what I can do, we can go at the bottom, and it says rectangle, so touch rectangle, and we're going to make a little rectangle. Nice, it's selected. We're going to go back to the color picker, and now anything you touch on the dress, I'm just touching the dress, so I'm touching the blue parts of the dress. I'm going to touch her sunglasses, shoes, background. So anything I touch on her, the box is going to change into that color. So that's how you pick colors in case you're drawing, in case you missed some colors, you don't remember what it was. You can also pick colors from the photo so it looks realistic. Okay, next one down is crop. So I'm just going to take, drag it to the left, and I'm just going to crop out the photo with one finger. At the top, it has various options. You can make it darker and stuff. You can play with those. But for now, I'm just going to crop this image. You know, you can move it up and down. And there is a check mark at the top that says apply. We want to apply this change, and voila, this is our thing. Now, if we go back to layers, so now we have a rectangle on a layer. I'm going to delete that layer by swiping left and hitting delete. I just want to keep one layer for now. Okay, next one down is the Smart Selection Brush. So this brush should be able to easily select. It helps to have image, let's say if it's something really dark on something really light. If there's contrast, it's much easier, but let's see how we do with this. So it's selecting. It's rather quick. You know, I'm just dragging it down, but it's a little big. So I'm on the left-hand side, I'm gonna adjust the width to maybe 34. Okay, let's see what happens now. This is a little more gentle and like this. Okay, but it's still a little bit overboard, so I'm gonna go to maybe 21. And at the top, it says add, and I'm going to change that to subtract. Do you see add, subtract? So now I'm going to subtract everything I overdid. This is not the best image for it because it would help if she was wearing a black dress. Let's see. But it doesn't have to be perfect because we're not looking for perfection here. You can obviously zoom in and do a much better job, but we want to do this rather quickly. Okay. This was subtracting. Now we need to add again. I'm going to hit add to get her hand in and to get more of that dress. And you can just like kind of push these lines out. That overdid it. Okay, add, subtract. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is the best image, but I think we got the arms. It's just one more arm. So I'm going to add a little bit. Come on. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to zoom in, make it a little smaller. And subtract. So the key is the size of the brush on the left-hand side because, you know, if it's really big, it's not going to be accurate, but if it's really small, it's going to take forever. So I'm going to re-add this. I'm not looking for perfection. So maybe re-add this a little bit. A little bit over here. Oops. You know what? I'm good with this. This is fine. Okay, so our image is selected. It's way more automatic when you have more contrast in your image. Okay, so now there's a little brush refine that you can hit on, and it basically shows you what your image looks like. So the red is something that's gonna go away, and the dress and the girl is something that's going to stay. And you can just, there's an option for selection. You can make it a mask, new layer, and you can do new layer with a mask. So let's try new layer with a mask and just hit apply and boom. Okay, obviously it's not perfect, but it's good enough for this tutorial. And so if you hit on your layers, you can see there's a second layer. So now the bottom layer is not visible. If you make it visible by hitting that dot, you have both layers. But if you get rid of the bottom layer, you can see just the mask layer, which is what we're gonna work with. Okay, so next one is, let's see, flood selection. So flood selection basically selects pixels of similar color, and then you can play with them. So let's see what's similar over here. Let's see if I wanted to select maybe her hair. You also have to adjust the brush. You don't want it to, and you kind of just double tap. So that's selecting her hair. It's not quite accurate. I'm gonna double tap again. You can use your finger or your pencil. I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Double tap. So this is about it. And then at the top, it will show you like only the hair is kind of selected. And so we can, let's try a new layer with a mask and apply. And so boom, it kind of selected the hair. And then you can do various things with this. If you look on your layers, it's one at the top, and that's the only one that's selected. Obviously, you can put the other layers back in by hitting the dot, but currently it's just showing you the hair. And there's a lot of things you can do. You can recolor it, you can paint on it. Pick various colors. Let's see, I picked green. So green, and I am on the brush, paintbrush, and I'm just coloring it green. Okay, and it's just going on the hair. Okay, you can also, to make it more natural, change the opacity. If it's a little bit see-through, it looks a lot more natural. And let's see, I think it's gonna look ridiculous, but why not? Okay, well, looks kind of funky. Now, mind you, when you put in time, if you actually zoom in, these things can look really good, but we're just having fun right now. Okay, so that was the flat brush. Okay, next one, you see a little rectangle, and you hit on it, it has a few options. So you can have a circle, a rectangle, and rows, columns, and then freehand selection. So I'm gonna try a rectangle. And I'm actually going to go back to the pixelated layer, and I'm going to turn off the other two off. I just want to look at the bottom layer only. And I'm going to select, and then at the top, once again, you hit that brush, and so everything else is going to go away. Let's try new layer with a mask, and that is your new layer. So it's just like basically cutting things. Now I'm gonna touch the screen with 2 fingers to undo, and I'm going to try freehand selection. Actually, I'm gonna touch the screen, and I'm going to select the middle option, which says deselect. So deselect, and then I'm gonna go with the freehand selection, and maybe I'll draw a heart around her face. Whoops. You can draw a circle, you can draw any shape that you want, and the same thing happens. You can do various things with it. Okay, but we're not going to need that. So I'm going to tap with 2 fingers, undo, 2 fingers, undo. Oh, actually, sorry. You hit the X at the top to cancel, and 2 fingers to undo. Okay, so that was... Okay, so next one is flood fill. This is basically, you can just fill anything with a color. This works the best if you have something that there is a division. So let's see, let's make a shape. Let's make a new layer, pixel layer, and on this layer we're gonna make, let's put this layer up. It can stay here. You can make a shape. Okay, let's see, let's try a different shape. Let's try a crescent moon. Crescent moon is gonna go like this. And what is this nonsense? Okay. All right, so we have some shapes, and then you just hit on the flood fill and pick any color. So let's try green. Oops. So you gotta select, you can either select from your layers, but you're not gonna know which rectangle is which, so I recommend hitting the move and touching the object, and then you hit your fill, and you can fill it with red, green, blue. Kind of like the color picker, except the color picker, you're picking stuff from your drawing. This is, you're just flooding the shape with whatever color you want, but you have to select which shape you're going to flood. So that's what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to close the colors, and I'm going to select the move tool and select my shapes, and I'm gonna touch each one and hit the delete and delete. Okay, so now that those are deleted, we're going to go under our layers, and I'm going to, let's put the green hair back. So basically, anytime you touch these circles, things disappear, and every time you touch them again, they show up again. So I'm gonna add a new layer, and this one is going to be a fill layer. Okay, it just ended up being red just because that's the color I had selected before. So the fill layer is here. If the fill layer was on top, let's see, I'm gonna drag it on top, then you can't really see anything because everything, it's covering everything underneath because it's not see-through. But I'm going to drag it back to where it was. I think that's pretty useful. Here it is. So now I'm going to hit the gradient, and I'm just gonna draw a line from left top to right bottom. So from left top to right bottom, you just hit on the screen and let go at whatever time you want to. And so it basically makes the color really gradual. Now, if you touch the top little circle at the top, it shows you what color it is, but you can change it. You can make it yellow. And then you can just dot these little circles all along this thing, as many as you want. And the second circle, you can make a different color. So I'm gonna tap the third circle. And once it's tapped, I'm gonna go under my color and choose a different color. Let's go with something like this. Tap the next color. I actually think I like it green over here. Next one. And you can play around. You can see what it's gonna look like. I think that's cool. That's good enough. I'm good with that. And then I'm gonna tap on the color again just to get it out of my way. So at the top, you can see that this is a solid line, and there are various things that you can use, and you can move them around. Elliptical, so you can do it like this. You can stretch it. You can just put the side of it. I don't know. Where should we put this? I guess that's okay. I'm good with that. Let's stretch it a little bit. And there are a variety of them that you can play with. You can rotate it. But I'm good with how it is. Okay, so let's see what's next. Paintbrush. So for paintbrush, we probably want to add new pixel layer. Let's see where it's gonna be. Maybe let's put it on top. It's gonna be our top layer. And basically you can just draw. I'm gonna undo what I did. So you have your paintbrush selected. You have your pixel layer up on top. Make sure you don't put it on the bottom because then you can't see what you're drawing. I made the mistake many times. And make sure the layer is selected because, you know, if you have something else selected, you might not be able to see. You're not painting on the layer you're supposed to be painting. So, and I'm going to pick a color. I guess green is fine. And then you can choose opacity. You can make it kind of see-through. So opacity right now 21, 88. So you can play with that. And then the paintbrush, I am currently on inks. Inks are easy to see. So that's what it looks like. On the left-hand side, you can make it smaller. You can make it bigger. And there are a variety of things that you can use. Flow is how easy it comes out. Let's see. And accumulation. So that's what it looks like. Little dots. I'm going to delete these things and I'm actually going to make some. I'm going to touch. Ooh, that's huge. Undo. I'm going to touch the screen with my finger. Oh, that's too small. Let's try this. A little smaller. Okay. So I like the size. So I'm going to touch the screen a few times to put some dots. I'm just tapping with my finger. I'm going to change the color to something else. Let's do a little bit of red and do some red ones. Okay. And maybe you can, I'm going to change it to black. Make it really small and maybe do a little, too small. Do a little circle inside, that's a little too small. Just a few of these. Okay. Okay, so let's leave it at that. So there are a variety of paintbrushes, you can play with them. They go by categories like markers, inks, and you can also make your own brushes, but I'll do a tutorial on that another time. So, okay, so the next one is the eraser. And basically, I'm gonna hit on the layers. So eraser's on your left side. So we are currently on the top layer, which is where I drew the little dots, and without even touching the screen, you can see that they're gonna disappear. So if I touch the screen, I can erase these dots. And then, but if I touch her dress or her hair, nothing's erasing because it's not on the same piece of paper essentially. Like every layer is a different piece of paper, and even though they overlap and create one image, you have to work on each separate piece of paper separately. So let's see, next one up, the next layer we have is her hair. So I'm going to select the next layer. You don't have to do it. So you go from the top to the next layer, and that's her hair. So now, even if I touch the dots, nothing happens. But if I touch her hair, I can erase it because that's the layer that it's on. And if I go on the bottom layer, let's see, I select that, and I'm just gonna try to erase some of the background, but nothing happens because the fill layer is blocking it. So if I just turn off the fill layer, you can see that I can erase the background. And if I turn off all the other layers and just keep my bottom layer down, then I can erase all of it like this, right? Okay, I'm gonna undo all of those. Undo. And let's see. Okay, so we're back to how it was before. Okay, all of the layers are selected. Okay, so, oops, there was eraser. And you can also erase backgrounds on the photo, but I'll go into more detail on that in a different tutorial. Next one down is we have set of brushes. So yours should look like this. It should have a fire sign, and that's going to be the top brush, which is the burn brush. And essentially, it makes certain areas darker. You can use it for houses, you can use it for a face. We have a face here, so I'm gonna use 2 fingers. I'm gonna zoom out and zoom in. I'm gonna zoom in, sorry guys. And let's see, I'm gonna just pick the middle layer where it's just her, and I'm actually gonna turn off the other layers just so we can see what we're dealing with. So I'm just dealing with the middle layer. And on this, you can, let's see. So we have it set on shadow. So one more time, burn brush, shadow, and you just kind of, you can draw with it, you can double tap with it. And on the left-hand side, the bottom one is the width of the brush. And next one, this is the flow, how easily it comes out. And if you tap on the flow, there's also hardness. So the smaller the hardness, the less visible it is, and more it blends in. So if you really want to see the difference, you can make it really hard just to see, oh, is this actually doing something? Well, let's do the full hardness. And you can just tap on the face anywhere you want. Obviously, it's not really looking good on this particular image, but it does look great on several other images. At the top, you can see midtones, highlights, and you can play with that. Okay, so this is currently on shadow. And then I'm gonna leave it like this on shadow because I'm gonna go tap on the fire icon again. And instead of the burn brush, I'm gonna try the dodge brush. And here at the top, it says highlight. And I'm gonna hit on that, and it just gives it a, you can draw with it, you can tap with it, whatever you want to do. So it creates this little highlight. Let's do a little bit of a neck. Okay, and I think that's looking okay. Kind of looks almost the same as we started. So you can add these little highlights. There are various options at the top that you can play with. So the next one down is the sponge brush. Let's see, it's on the left hand side. So basically it is to saturate things, to make them more colorful or less colorful. So right now at the top, let's see, let's go with saturate. I'm gonna zoom in on her face, and I'm just going to drag my finger across the face and see how much color it's gonna get. Okay, so, oh, am I on the layer? Yeah, pixel layer. So if you can see around her face, things are turning yellow. I mean, you obviously can work with various things on this. So I can just saturate the background by dragging my finger, tapping on it, and that's what it looks like. And then I can hit the arrow at the top and just desaturate it, and it's the same thing, and it's going to be more gray. You can use that. Let's see, I can make her face really gray. And I can make her hands pretty gray. Kind of give her like this black and white-ish tint. Obviously, if you use it nicely and carefully, it looks really, really good. So the next one down is smudge, and that's where you can just smudge the colors. So I'm currently, always check my layer at the bottom layer, everything else is not visible. So I can just smudge. I'm just using my Apple pencil, I'm just smudging things around. I can draw lines, I can smudge her legs if I wanted to, and I can go on the top layer, the pixelated layer, and I'm gonna make sure it's showing, and I can smudge these little things. Yeah. So I'm gonna tap with 2 fingers to undo all of those changes. I don't want it to be super smudged. Okay. And so the next one down is the blur brush, which is the kind of the same thing. I'm gonna zoom in on the face and I'm just gonna blur her face. And yeah, you can blur text. You can blur background. That's pretty cool if you want to emphasize the image. And on the left hand side, what's important, all of these brushes kind of have this is the width of how big the brush is. Next one is the flow, how easily it flows. Hardness is the one that makes a lot of difference. The harder it is, the more kind of you can see it, the more visible it is, but looks less natural. Yeah, so play with those. And to get to the hardness, you just tap on it at the bottom on the icon. So now it's the water, you tap on that, it's a circle, you tap on that. Okay, and so, let's see, blur brush, sharpen brush, what is it called actually? Yeah, it is the sharpen brush. So it's just basically to sharpen the image. You can just you can tap on it with your finger. And obviously you don't want it to be too hard for this. You can slide it around, you can sharpen her hair. Yeah, so this also isn't the best image because you can already kind of see the pixels when you zoom in. So it's hard to see, but if you have like a nice picture of a face that's quite large, it's easier to see these effects. But yeah, that basically just sharpens things. I'm gonna 2 fingers undo that. And I mean, that's good enough. Oh, we don't want the blurry. That's good enough. Okay, so it doesn't matter what she looks like. This is just for fun. And the last one at the bottom is the medium brush. So let's see. So medium brush just basically paints pixels that kind of like blended together. So it's kind of like a smooth eraser in a way. So let me see. So we're gonna select that, and I'm gonna do the side of her dress. I'm gonna make the brush a little bit bigger. Okay, so I went over her face, I did a little bit of her dress, kind of blends things together, kind of blends the pixels, because typically when pixels are random rectangles or squares, and they're basically like if each one has a different color, and this kind of blends them to a similar color. So it kind of starts looking like this. You can do stuff like erase with it a little bit, or just like fix corners of things. I don't know if you can see that well on this. Okay, so I'm gonna undo all of those changes by tapping 2 fingers on the screen. Let me do it one more time. So we have our medium brush selected, and I'm just gonna go over her face, and the face kind of disappears. You can do it to her dress. You can just tap on things. You can move your pencil various ways, kind of blends in. It's cool for art. And yeah. So undo those changes with double tap on the screen, and we're done with these brushes. And what's coming up is actually some of my favorite brushes. Let's see. This pixel layer is, well, can we fix it? I don't know if we can fix it. I'm gonna just delete the pixel layer. All right, so the next one down is the clone brush. And to use this brush, the easiest thing we can do is get a new image. We can get the same image, let's go search. Oh, it's still up. I'm gonna pick the same image one more time that I've deleted from my bottom because it was too messy. Okay, I'm gonna select an arrow. And I'm gonna zoom in. Sometimes, like, you gotta zoom all the way in just to see the borders. Okay, and that should fit into our, thing perfectly. And let's go to layers, see what's going on. So that image is over here. I'm gonna hold it, rasterize it, and here it is, it's on the top. So basically we're not going to be able to see anything else right now. Let's keep this image on top and always select it. Okay, so the way that clone brush works, so you touch the clone brush and then you kind of like just hold apart wherever it is that you want to hold. And there's a little X, that comes up. And once you see that X, you basically just paint it out. So actually it's not the way that I wanted to do, so I'm gonna demo this again. So you touch, let's see over here, and maybe I want to highlight her face. And now anywhere I touch, I can basically just repaint her as she is. Okay, and I can just do the face. Yeah, this little button over here, it aligned. Sometimes it's difficult to use, so this is unselected. This is selected, this is unselected. It's easier if it's unselected. And then you can just tap and put her faces all over the place. Okay, so one more time. Basically what you want to do is you want to hit on it, like you want the circle to highlight the part of the body you're going to start with, and you want to make sure, that you see the little X, and then like without even touching the screen, I can see what it is. If I just touch, it just can be like a stamp, but if I keep drawing, I'm basically drawing her in by just touching the screen. And another cool thing is at the top, you can make it darker. Oh, that was not good. Make it a little darker than the rest, and you can also make it, I'm running out of room. You can also make it, yeah, so there's a lot of various things. I can't see the one that I want to see. Okay, so over here you can make it vertical, so that means if you can see, I'm going to actually undo these things because it's hard to see. So if I do vertical, if I touch the screen, you can see that she's already upside down. Okay, and yeah, I changed the settings. So all of these on the right hand side, color, average, etc., will give you kind of a different result. And so vertical, let's try horizontal. So that's going to be facing the opposite way that she's actually facing. Yeah, and you can do a lot of cool things with this. You can change the colors. It's just, yeah. It's good enough. I'm going to delete all of these and just keep the one that I had initially. So that was the clone brush. Next one, if we head on a clone brush, is the healing brush. So you can just retouch and repair various parts of your image. This works really well. It was something like the ocean. So for the healing brush, let's actually look up a picture of an ocean or a boat in the ocean. So I'm gonna go in pictures, and I'm going to find maybe boat in the ocean. Boat in the ocean. Let's see if we got anything for that. Okay, let's try this boat over here. What you want to see is a bit of water and a bit of a boat. I'm going to use this image over here. I'm just going to drag it into my document. And once again, 2 fingers, I'm going to zoom out. Okay, and here it is. So let's look at the layers, what's going on. Yeah, it's in its own layer. I'm going to touch it, hold it, and rasterize the image. Okay, so now we are on healing brush. So essentially, let's see. Am I in the right one? Yes. Okay, so essentially with the healing brush, you can basically erase the image. That was not a good idea. Basically, you touch anywhere on the ocean. So we want to make the boat disappear and just have the ocean, the water. So touch anywhere on the water and whoops, that was not good. Touch anywhere on the water. I think that's good enough. And now that's going to be the source. And I'm going to draw over the boat and make it disappear. I can draw it in various ways, like left to right, top to bottom, and you kind of work with that. Doesn't look perfect, but you know, there are various adjustments on the left hand side that you can do. You can adjust the hardness, you can adjust the colors to make it kind of look the same, and then you can try it again. You can hit anywhere on the screen. So you basically touch the screen and this piece looks nice, and then you kind of paint with that. Okay, now doesn't look great, but you kind of get the idea. So that's it for that. I'm gonna take this layer, I'm gonna hit on my layers, swipe left and delete it. All right, so the next brush is the patch brush. And so what you can do with that, so I'm going to select it on the left hand side, is you can just select different parts of, I'm going to have this all unselected. So at the top, make sure that you have the source mode, the texture only, and the transparency. They're all off by being gray. This is on, this is off. So make sure they're off. And then you're going to just select a piece of her, sort of say, and then you can just move that piece. Let's see, am I on the right layer? Make sure you're on the top layer. So yes, make sure you have the top layer image selected. You select the face and you can move it around. This is good if you want to get rid of a blemish on the face. You can work like that. Also, same thing that we've done with the ocean earlier, this can work for that. So this is what it looks like. Now I'm gonna undo that and I'm gonna push the 2 rectangles source mode. So it's on. I'm gonna do it one more time. Ooh. And this time I can just take whatever I selected off. Current layer. Now it looks a little different because there's there's various effects. Let's see, I'm gonna put it over here. Current layer and below, current layer. Whoop. Put it on the side. And the cool thing about this, if you go to the shapes, the rectangular, you can use freehand selection. So, sorry, I'm gonna deselect and I'm gonna use freehand selection. I'm gonna trace a shape around, and now I can do the same thing. Ooh, let's see, go back to our patch brush and put it over here. This way you can patch up a photo from backgrounds if you're missing some of the background. It's really cool. Like if you want to get rid of somebody standing, you can patch that up with the other parts of that photo. Kind of like what we did with the boat. And then there are various options. So this was, let's see, source mode. So we're going to keep that on. And next thing is texture only. So the one is highlighted so you can see how it's going to change. And then everything I take out is going to be this texture. On the left hand side, you can also change the size of it, make it bigger. We're going to move it over here. And you can turn it various ways. And then the next one, transparency, you can also do that. So let's turn off texture only, and that's off. And we're going to do transparency. So transparent one is going to be like this. Do you see I can see the dress through her face? So she's a bit transparent in that way. So that's pretty cool too. And you can make it small, you can make it very, very big. All right, so that is the patch tool. Next one is the blemish. I undid that. Okay, let's undo some of this. To have more space, I'm gonna hold the screen and I'm going to deselect. Okay, so next one is the blemish. It's used for blemishes. I don't think she's got any. I can't really see any. So you just kind of, I don't know if I can actually show you. Oh, see, the brush was really, really big, and that's kind of what I did. Let's make the brush smaller, and if you see a dot, you just kind of like double tap on the dot. I'm gonna try her neck. It's too small. Over here. Oh, that was too big, but you get the idea. So there is a little blemish on her face. Maybe I can try that. I would suggest start with bigger ones, then that little pixel. Okay, kind of blends in, and then it's gone. Okay, that actually wasn't so bad. I'm gonna undo with finger tap so her neck looks normal. Okay, and so next one down is in painting brush. This is basically, you can erase parts of her. So let's see which layer we're on. We're on this layer. Basically, whatever is highlighted in red is going to disappear. You're kind of erasing it. You can change the size of the brush. This is really cool. You could do that with a boat in the ocean, and then you can repaint some of the background in there. Yeah. So, and if you make it big, a big part of her can be gone and you're left with a background. So it's not really an eraser, because eraser would just erase everything. This is just kind of leaving the background and erasing the rest. I'm gonna double tap with 2 fingers to make her look normal again. And last one is red eye removal. That's not gonna work for us because you can't really see her eyes, but basically we're gonna try her lips, and oops, you kind of just double tap. So I'll redo that, and it's gonna know what red. We're gonna take anything that's red and make it not red. So basically it does what it says. It removes the red eyes. All right, and next one down. Let's just leave her like that, that's fine. Next one down is probably one of my favorite things to use, the undo brush, but it is quite complicated. And there are a variety of ways that you can use the undo brush. So for this, I'm going to go to my layers, and I'm just going to swipe left and delete everything except the top layer. So I'm gonna delete all of them. I don't want this to be messy. So now we only have one layer. It's already pixelated, and this is what we're gonna work with. So this is the layer, and on the right hand side at the bottom, there's a little clock that says history. I'm gonna hit on that, and down below it says snapshots, and there's a little arrow at the bottom. So you wanna touch that, and you just wanna hit the little plus icon. Plus, here it is. Okay, so this is basically the snapshot of what my screen looks like right now. And I'm gonna keep that, and then I'm gonna go to layers again, just to show you I only have one layer. And now I'm gonna add various effects that I can use. So I'm gonna go to filter, and I'm gonna try to find halftone, because that looks kind of cool. So we're gonna go under H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, here it is. Okay, cool. And you're gonna make it a little small. Okay, there are a variety of ways how you can use this. There, like, you can use the color one, you can make lines, you can make circular one, which just kind of looks cool, but I kind of like the dots. Let's try color. Make them a little bit like this, maybe a little smaller. That looks pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave that, and at the top there is a check mark that says apply. So top right, hit apply, and like it's there, it's on your image. And then I'm basically going to go to the clock option again, to the history, and under snapshots, I'm gonna add a plus. So this is the second snapshot, which is gonna look exactly like this. So currently I have two versions, one what it was before I added this, and now it's this one. Now, to make things simpler, I'm gonna go to the top one, and I'm gonna select it, and then at the top there is a little icon. So there's the plus, the minus, and to the right there's a little circle with two arrows. I'm gonna touch that. And what happens, it goes back to its natural state, because I wanna use this state to do one more thing to this image. And then I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go under adjustments on the right hand side. It's the circle, black and white, kind of yin yang-ish. I hit on that, and I'm just gonna select black and white. Looks pretty cool, you can play with it, but I'm fine with this. And once again, I'm gonna go back to history and add. Okay, so now I have three versions of this photo here in snapshots, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to, so I'm currently on my layers, and this is what my layers look like. But now when I go to the snapshot and I touch the first layer and hit this kind of refresh, the circle with the arrows on it, if I go back to my layers, it changed. It's basically going back in time of how things were when in my layers, when only that image was present. So I'm gonna start with this image, and then I'm gonna go back to the snapshot, and this time, instead of selecting them, I'm going to hit that little box, I don't know what's in it, on the right hand side. So I'm gonna hit the bottom box, like the last one, and you see how it's kind of highlighted. And so now, let's see, I need to select my brush, which is undo brush. So make sure your layer is selected. Sometimes it's not selected. So this is selected, your undo brush is selected, and you have chosen the bottom box of this. And now what happens is I can go back to the black and white photo that is underneath, which is pretty cool. And then I'm gonna go back in here, and I'm gonna hit on the middle one. Make sure you're not hitting this. This is not, this doesn't matter. This is only to refresh your image. You need to hit on the little box. That's the only thing that you need to hit, is on the little square. And now the second thing, so if I delete it, I can go back over this. It's gonna kind of go back to that. And it's a really, really cool thing that you can play around. This is probably not the best image, but if you have a lot of different effects, it's pretty fun. So let's try the top one. Oops. Okay, we want to put the face like this. Maybe a hand like that. Yeah, Okay, this is not my favorite piece of art, but usually this looks really, really, really cool. So that's that, and this one took me a while to figure out just the way that people do it. So guys, one more time, actually I'll post specific tutorial for this option because I know it takes a while to figure this out. So make sure whenever you do this that this is selected. It has to be blue, that your layer is selected, that your brush is selected, and that you are hitting the little box of the snapshot that you've selected. If you have all these three, then you should be okay. All right, and so going down, we have our pen, and so you have the pen at the top. It shows you how it's going to be. I'm not a big fan of this one in particular. You can move it around and make various shapes with it. You can also then add color to it. Actually, I'm going to take the color out. And next one is the Smart Pen. You kind of just do the dots and it connects the dots, but it's like a little bit round. And next one is Polygon. So it's kind of more straight. So you can make various shapes with this. Let's see, you can just do a little line. And then you can also hit the node and you can move these nodes in any way that you want. And that's kind of like a neat way of creating various drawings. You can do this with letters too. So that's pretty cool. But that is more of a designer tutorial because that's what they do in there. Okay, next one down is the shapes. It's pretty cool. You can make all kinds of shapes. Let's pick a triangle. I think we've made some shapes today. And look, you can't even see the lines, so you can make the line darker by dragging the thing on the left. You can make these into picture frames, and that's also in my designer tutorial, I believe. Yeah, so various shapes, and so let's see, what shape do we want? Maybe a circle. There are various options at the top. Let's see, make a circle. Then you can play around. You can make it like this. You can play with these numbers. Yeah, you can do various things with this. And like the bubble is really cool. Where is it? Where is the bubble? This one. So the talking bubble, you can like move this around, move that around. You can make it smaller or bigger. Yeah, so that's fun. And last but not least is the letters. So let's see, we did this. There are two options if you hit on it. There's a text frame and art text. Art text, I'm gonna select that. It's just like kind of big letters that you want. When you touch on the screen, it's gonna show you how big it's going to be. And when you're fine with this, I'm just gonna write A, B, C, and that's what it's gonna look like. And then at the top, there are various things that you can change. I like check duster. Oh, make sure it's highlighted. So you double tap on it. Whoop. And then you can change it, various styles of this. Also on the right hand side, let's see. Ooh. So you got your colors, you got your layers, you got your paintbrushes, then you have your adjustments and various filters, and then you have the little A in the box, and that's where you can change this in a variety of ways. You can center things. Currently it's hard for me to show because I'm not actually using a keyboard. A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh, someone's deaf. Okay, so let's see. This is just center it. This is left aligned, right aligned. You can underline things. It's not highlighted. Oops. So you put a little underline, and there are cool things you can do with this. But you know what, guys? That is, I believe, on my designer tutorial. I forget. So various ways to play with text. I'm not going to go too much into it. The second one is just a text frame. You make a text frame and then you can type whatever you want in it. Yeah. All right, so on the right hand side, actually I'm gonna do some of these. 2-finger tap to get rid of all this mess. And I mean, I could just go to a snapshot in history, essentially, and just hit on the top one and refresh it, and all of those things will be gone as well, instead of 2-finger tap. So that is a little way to go about it. Okay, so quickly, let's go over the things on the right-hand side. So we have, colors at the top. You can play with the colors over here, the layers. Okay, the one thing in layers is really cool. So let's say we have this layer and we're afraid we're gonna mess it up. You wanna go to the 3 dots on the left-hand side, not the right-hand side, the left-hand side. It says edit. So you hit on that and make sure it's selected. You hit on that and you hit duplicate. And just like that, you have a copy of your layer. That's really neat. So if you wanna, when you draw something and then you're afraid you're gonna make mistakes, even though you might, when you're painting on other layers, it's fine. Your mistakes is not really gonna count because you can delete those layers. Still, it's nice to have a copy, and you can always turn off your copy and it's just in there just in case. And you can also take a snapshot. So there are a variety of ways of doing that, but if you want 2 layers, here it is. Okay, so next one down, you have various paintbrushes. Down, you have various effects, black and white, brightness, and anytime you hit on one, menu comes up and you can play around with all the controls. Okay, here are some filters that you can play with. It's all filters, and then they are by category as well, so it's up to you. And well, that's pretty cool. Next, now make sure, sometimes you might not be able to use them. You have to hold this screen, and make sure that you rasterized your image. If it says pixel, let's see, if it says pixel over here, that means you can play with these. And various fixes that you can do. Sorry, layer is not selected. So make sure something is selected, because if it's not selected, you're not going to be able to even see the options. We've done the text. The next thing down is the assets. The assets is something that, pictures perhaps that you use throughout the projects and you want to keep them in here. So let's say I want to use this photo. I'm going to make sure that it's selected. It is selected. And I'm going to go under my assets and I'm going to hit the 3 lines. And it says, the first one, the top one, says add assets from selection. I'm going to hit that and now it's here. So, and it's always here. I can always use it, put it in my document instead of looking it up and finding it in files. But if I want to delete it, I just hold it. Sorry, I tap on it and you can either insert or delete. I'm going to delete, and that way it's empty. Next is various art that you can use for your projects. And the one below, resource manager, and yeah. So there are various options here to transform. Let's see, what is this called? Transform. Various alignment options. It's something that you can do on the screen anyway, but if you want to be really precise and select certain dimensions. And next one down, you can, same thing, you can do it on the screen, but you can just move it around, zoom in, and currently it's locked, but if I hit the lock, I can also rotate it, but then I have to set it at, okay, 0.1 is good enough. She's a little bit to the side. And yeah, and the next one, the last one is, before the snapshots, is your history, various things you've done. You can go back to these things by selecting them. And at the bottom were the snapshots. Currently we have 3 for this project. And the last one is just shows you where everything is, which is pretty cool if you don't know what things are. Alright guys, this is it for this tutorial. If you have any other ideas of what you want me to do, let me know in the comments. I hope it's helpful. There's a lot in this. Have a great day.